Coleman, and I do a sports show right here on JoyNetRadio.com. Every Saturday morning, you can call me and talk NBA, NFL, NASCAR. It doesn't matter. It's a sports show. We'll have fun. We'll have great guests. And, of course, we'll talk a little controversy as well. Keep you up on recruiting and what's going on with the Razorbacks and, of course, the SEC and other great conferences around the country. That's right. Every Saturday morning, 9 to 10 a.m. right here on JoyNetRadio.com.
It's time for the weekly sports page with the dynamic David Coleman. Stay tuned for thrills, chills, and yes, spills. Oh yeah, and a whole lot of other great stuff. Call 855-525-5683. Tweet your questions at Dynamic Sports PA or Facebook. Drop a line on Dynamic Weekly Sports Show. Sit back, relax, and groove while Dynamic drops sports in your ear hole.
Boom, baby. Good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave. Yeah, I'm still a little under the weather. And who isn't under this weather? Man, come on. Can a black man get a break with this weather? 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me if you want to join the show. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I hope you'll stick around. Want to talk to you, want to hear from you. Man, there's so many things going on in sports today. We've certainly got, let's see here. We'll be streaming live here on Facebook. I normally stream live on my main page, but I'm going to start streaming my sports show on the weekly sports page magazine that's on Facebook. So give me a moment here. I'll have all that up here in just a moment. As I said, 855-525-5683 is the number, and that's how you get in touch with me. I'll be kicking out those links here in just a moment as well. We'll be later on. We'll get up on Twitter, get all that taken care of as well, because we're spreading our wings, so to speak. And I've been doing this for a while, and I've already had all these different things set up. Eventually, I'll start doing. Instagram and some of the others. I wish someone would come up with some type of app that would stream all of them. You know what I'm saying? Where you could just pop in all of them with the appropriate stuff and get them all streamed, as opposed to you having to go through each individual apparatus in order to do something. So if I want to stream Facebook, I got to have my computer or my phone. If I want to stream YouTube, I got to have a tablet. And if it's just crazy, man. So for four of them, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and whatever else you want, you have to have 4 different devices, and that's just kind of stupid. And I've been in this industry for a long time, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know coding, but I certainly know hardware and a lot of software. And if someone is out there, that ought to be your task, is to come up with an app where you can stream all 4 or any social media that allows you to go live. Anyway, I digress. 855-525-5683 is the number. You know what we do every Saturday morning. Before we get this party started, we like to talk to people and say good morning, because we are from the city, but we really from the country. We like to say Little Rock is nothing but a big old country town. When I lived in Memphis, that's what we used to say all the time. As a matter of fact, a lot of people think Memphis is the capital of Mississippi. You'll get that joke later on when it hits you. So So let's speak to everybody here in the Little Rock area. Good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Everybody in the central Little Rock area over there off of Schiller Street. All you folks standing up there on Battery right now at K Hall and Son, getting ready to get you some crab legs and all that other stuff. That's just an amazing thing. It's a sight to see. Certainly people in the South End, the West End, the East End, of course, Southwest, Little Rock. Good morning. Welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Don't want to forget about the people down in Bryant, Benton. Good morning. Welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Lone Oak, Carlisle, Conway. Welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Hey Jacksonville, how you doing this morning? Welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Glad to have you. Let's see who else we want to. Well, I guess that's everybody in Arkansas. Let's go down to New Orleans because New Orleans is my favorite city. Let's say bon ton roulette, let the good times roll. That is my favorite city. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, well, I got a lot of favorite cities, but that's my favorite food city. Let's put it that way. All right. Pensacola, good morning. Welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Jackson, Mississippi, and Jackson State. Good morning. Welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. All of the cities that houses HBCUs, including Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Dr. Doreen Lowry. Good morning and welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Keely Coleman in Hawaii, Chicago, Sierra Coleman in Chicago. Good morning, welcome to the Weekly Sports Magazine. Now that we got all the salutations out of the way, I want to say thank you for joining the show. We're going to go out and take a quick break, and when we return, we'll get into some of the headlines. We've got an interesting show for you this morning. And in my tease, I simply just put names of city, and obviously if you're anything related to sports and you understand sports, I've got to be talking about the NBA. I'm going to talk about Houston, Golden State. You know what? There's one that I didn't put on there, and that's Boston. I can't leave them out. So I'll run out here and edit this real fast. And I gotta get Boston in there as well. All right. So we'll definitely talk about that and the different things that are going on in those cities as it relates to the NBA. And we're also going to talk a little bit about Tiger Woods. And the question is, why do black people continue to support Tiger Woods when he totally disavows black people? Interesting conversation, because I like Tiger, but I'm having some problems. I wonder, are you having the same problems? I'm having some problems with Tiger Woods, man. Hey Kenya, how you doing, baby? How you doing? I hope everything's going well with your family, Kendra Norman Holmes. I mean, I'm really having some problems with Tiger Woods. So we're going to talk about all of that here in just a moment. We got to take a quick break. I think someone just knocked on my door, so we definitely have to take a quick break. You're listening to the Weekly Sports Magazine. I'm Dynamic Dave on JoyNetRadio.com.
Fill your home for the holidays with Bedrock Mattress and More. Bundle and save for every room in your home. Package deals just in time for the holidays. Our first bundle starting at $5.98. Perfect for a dorm room. Bundle deal 2, only $50.99. Enough to fill your first apartment. And fill your home with our third bundle starting at only $24.99. Come get these deals while they last. Special pricing going on now through the end of the year. Celebrate this holiday season with something new from Bedrock Mattress and More. 3901 South University in Little Rock.
Check out our new arousing Bubble Furniture Depot. Sofa, sectional, bedroom set, hot set, as well as modern glass with them.
You get finance! You get finance! Everyone gets the finance!
No credit check plan with 99 savings care. The Bubble Furniture Depot is your one-stop shop. On 562-8333 for the rest.
Who done it? The Blackness done it. At the Furniture Depot.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
I'm so glad I found the Kick Above. It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offered me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offered nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me at a Kick Above. Call 501-868-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to a Kick Above, I look marvelous.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral plans, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
All right, I'm sorry. We're back. I am just really, I've been very busy this morning, but welcome back to the Weekly Sports Magazine. You all, we have this new software, and I got to be honest, it's not very intuitive. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Certainly, we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. Of course, last night, if you were watching, the Golden State Warriors exited the Houston Rockets, and it was, I'm going to be totally honest, it was pretty pathetic as it relates to the Houston Rockets. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to talk, and as I talk about these different cities, because as in the tease I told you, the tease says, and let me just read it to you, Houston, Golden State, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and of course Boston is another. Why do these, why am I going to put them, and it's not in any different order, but each one of these cities have a player or have a situation going on that I'm going to address this morning, okay? So Houston is going to be one of them, but we'll get to that here in just a moment. But Golden State last night, Steph Curry did not score in the entire first half. Kevin Durant did not play in that game. And at halftime, the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors were tied. I'm just going to leave it at that. The Golden State Warriors go on to win the game last night. And my quick observations is that let's stop calling James Harden an MVP. I rest my case. Let's stop that, okay? So let's get into a couple of other things I do want to discuss, and then we'll get the rest of the show. We'll talk about all of those things, and of course we'll play all of the montages of people who were picking Boston as well, because I got something, and I'll tell you what. Let's do this. So I'm going to talk about Houston and James Harden. I'm going to talk about Golden State and Kevin Durant. No, he didn't play last night, but I'm going to talk about him, and you'll understand why in a moment. I'm going to talk about Milwaukee and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay? I'm going to talk about Philadelphia and their big guy. And I'm going to talk about Boston and Kyrie Irving. I don't know, I can't get it out this morning. And I'm going to talk about Los Angeles and their front office. Okay? So that's what I'm going to do. Remember, all right? Because Houston and James Harden, Golden State and Kevin Durant, Milwaukee and Giannis Antetokounmpo, Philadelphia and their big guy, I can't even think of his name, I went blank. And Los Angeles, their front office, and Boston and Kyrie Irving. Okay? 855-525-5683 is the number if you want to get into get in here with me. Of course, Florida, just a quick college news, the Florida Gators have lost an elite player. He decommits. What's going on at Florida? His name is Trevante Rucker. Let's see. You can add a third person to the list of elite prospects who have just decommitted from Florida by Dan Mullen. The latest setback on the recruiting trail for Florida program comes from four-star receiver Trevante Rucker. Rucker is rated as the nation's number 5 receiver in the state of Florida. Okay? Following the news of Chris Steele's decision to leave Dan Mullen's program, Florida now has lost over half of its commitments in the 2020-21 recruiting class. 2020. Man, that's 2 years away. I know these coaches like to jump out here and they like to jump out here and give these commitments, but I don't know that that's a big deal right now. Okay? I don't know that that's a big deal right now. Could Anthony Davis be going to the New York Knicks? Of course, he's been rumored to go to Boston. He's been rumored to go to Los Angeles. He's been rumored to go to, and I'm talking about the Clippers. He's been rumored to go a little bit everywhere, but here we are, potentially that the Knicks could be going big after Anthony Davis. According to Ian Begley of SNY, the Pelicans have quietly been gathering intel on the Knicks lottery pick from a year ago, Kevin Knox, who could presumably be a part of a trade package, along with the New York's first-round pick, wherever that winds up falling. The draft order will be revealed this coming Tuesday with the Knicks, Cavs, and Suns, who had the 3 worst records in the league last season, all having a 14% chance of landing the overall pick. There is information that still out there, a league source told CBS, when talking why the Pelicans chose to hold off trading Davis, who is going to end up with the number 1 pick. Clearly, you can at least start to connect the dots. Now, to be clear, teams are constantly gathering intel on players around the league, and the report that the Pelicans are looking at Knox doesn't automatically mean Anthony Davis' trade is anywhere near in the works. But with the strong possibility of the Knicks landing the rights to Zion Williamson, it would be remiss not to consider the possibility of eventually happening there. That's an interesting take. And all of these so-called pundits who have been going back and forth on this, it's kind of fascinating. I don't know why my Facebook feed is going in and out, and I apologize for that. Tell you what I'll do. I mean, not my my Facebook feed. Tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and post the YouTube feed, so you all on my Facebook wall, so you can catch that as well. But I think that's an interesting thing. We have not seen. Now think about this. Part of the problem with the Pelicans is attendance. Okay? Part of the problem with the Pelicans is attendance. They have to have a draw. With all of the things that are going on right now in New Orleans, man, there's so many things going on in New Orleans. You don't necessarily have to go to see the Pelicans. You don't. Okay? And the one thing that they have is Anthony Davis. Now, we know Anthony Davis is going to leave. He still has another full year on the contract, but I think most people agree that he's going to be out of there this year. There's really no reason why the Pelicans should be trying to hold on to Anthony Davis. So what is the best option for you? Because sure, Davis would like to go to the Lakers. But the problem is the Lakers have no assets. And at the end of the day, if you are a GM, you certainly don't want to trade someone and get nothing for him, especially a talent like Anthony Davis. And is there someone who can be comparable to Anthony Davis's talent? Not unless he's like a LeBron James type or a Kevin Durant type. And we know they're not going to come back. So your next option is getting draft picks. And right now, although I still question whether or not he's going to be that impactful in the league, right now, everybody loves them some Zion Williamson. He's certainly got a following. He certainly will sell tickets, at least that first week. So if the Knicks can package a deal where Kevin Knox, where they can set it up where Anthony Davis can go to New York. Now, my question is this. If I'm Anthony Davis, do I want to go and play at New York? Jim Dolan. Now, that's all. If you know anything about this, you know what I'm talking about. Do I want to go and play for Jim Dolan and that mess, which is the Knicks? I don't know. But then, too, considering the fact that this is a franchise that gets more hype than any other franchise that hasn't done anything, the New York Knicks haven't won anything since 1973. Can you be the guy to change the atmosphere in New York? And if you do, how much would you be loved for the rest of your career? Because you certainly have the talent. You certainly have the talent. So that's something to watch. I think it's a fascinating observation, and I think that could happen. Think about it from this perspective. The Knicks work out a deal where they end up with Anthony Davis. All right? There are other rumors that people like Kevin Durant might go to the Knicks. Then that might drive some other superstars, and then all of a sudden, the New York Knicks are in the mix. I think it's a fascinating prospect. 855-525-5683. And that's something we hadn't talked about. And look, let me just pull up NBADraft.net real fast for you. Because, or check this out. What if you don't get Zion Williamson, but you get Ja Morant? Because I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I know most of y'all are fascinated with Zion Williamson, but Zion Williamson is 6'6", 6'7". Certainly he's a big guy. He's going to be a good player. But there are players who are just as good as he is, who are 6'8", 6'10". Can you see him going to the hole against Giannis Antetokounmpo? I can't. So we'll see how that works out. But I think it's an interesting prospect. I really do. It's something to look at going forward, and we'll know this Tuesday what the draft order is. So right now, if I go out to NBA.net, if they fall into place, you've got New York, Cleveland, and Phoenix, where you have Zion Williamson going to New York. You've got Ja Morant going to Cleveland, which I hope not. And then you've got R.J. Barrett going to Phoenix. It's going to be an interesting Tuesday night. And it's going to be interesting moving up, at least moving towards the draft here in the coming days. 855-525-5683 is the number. Anthony Davis and the New York Knicks. I'm just saying. All right, let's see what other headlines we want to cover here. Let's jump out onto my wall and see some of the things. We'll talk about LeBron here in just a moment. I want to talk about the sprinter in Ohio, at Ohio State, who broke Jesse Owens' record. Nick Gray is his name. He says he remembers writing school reports on Jesse Owens, but his name will now be forever tied to the legendary sprinter. He said it didn't even feel He didn't feel like he was even running that fast. That's scary. Gray clocked a 10.17 seconds in the 100 meters at a recent competition at the University of South Carolina. That time beat the 10.2 record set by Jesse Owens in 1936. He said, the gun went off and I was almost in last place. I had to fight my way back. The race felt fast, but not that fast. The four-year biology major was surprised to learn that he broke the record, which stood for more than 80 years. He said, I didn't think it would be me that would break it. To be honest, I wanted to, but seeing all the greats that have come before me, I was like, I'm not going to get it. Gray's strongest event is the 200-meter dash, and he also broke the 26-year school record in that event on the same day. Congratulations to you, young brother. That young man's name is, again, Nick Gray. Man, I didn't know that record had stood that long. Wow, 80 years. And the irony is that he used to write stories about Jesse Owens. That's pretty ironic. But again, who didn't write stories about Jesse Owens? Okay, one other thing I want to get into, and then we're going to get the rest of the show will be full NBA. You know, last week I talked, let me see if I can pull up this article because I want to be, and I thought I posted it on my wall, but I'm going to go ahead and Google it. Well, it's been about a week or so ago that I posted on my wall the story of the young lady who ran in the international track event against women. Let's see, it was Joe Rogan, and let's see, I think her last name was Fox. No. All right, I'll keep looking for that. But Joe Rogan, who is part of the UFC, on a podcast, had some interesting comments about transgender athletes. And many people, and look, Joe Rogan is not very adept in his words. And you have to be careful when you talk about this because people will try to label you anti this, that, or the other, okay? So I posted, I'm sorry, I should have. Okay. I can't find the article. I have to go back to my main page because I want to say what Joe Rogan said, and I'll find that here in just a moment. But I posted this article about this young lady. Her name is Caster Semenya. She's from South Africa, and she is transgender. Now, I'm not trying to get into any biological stuff or anything like that, but there are simply some questions. Now, we know for a fact that nature does some different things. We know that, okay? But is it fair for Caster Semenya to run against women when her levels are of testosterone, from what I understand, based on her birth, are much higher than a normal woman, which some people would argue she's more of a man than a woman. Now, the question I have, and here's I think where I come down on this, and I think it's fair. And if you don't think it's fair, I'd like to hear your comments at 855-525-5683, or send me a text or respond on my Facebook page. But here's where I come down on this with Caster Semenya. From what I understand, if you are a person and you are born as a woman, but you have male traits. In other words, if you have the plumbing as a woman, as from what I understand Caster Semenya has, then I'm a little hard pressed to be against her competing with women because she was born biologically as a woman. Okay? And for whatever reasons, she has high levels of testosterone. You understand what I'm saying? And even though she may live her life as a man, and I don't know if she does that or not, I haven't done the research. And I've thought about this for a couple of weeks because I like to try to be fair with people. Because see, what we find or what we fail to understand, that even though that person is different, even though that person is transgender, the key phrase, the key word in what I just said is person. That individual is a human being. And that individual still needs to be treated as such. Hear me now. So if Caster Semenya was born as a woman with female plumbing, but for some reason or another, something happened in the casting of her DNA while she was in the womb that allowed her to get more testosterone, that made her look like a man, she has the right to compete with women because she is a woman. You understand what I'm saying, right? Do you follow me so far? Do you think that's fair? Okay? Do you think that's fair? Now, on the other hand, let's talk about those who decide to transition. Because, see, this is where I draw the line. Now, if you decide that you, for whatever reasons, want to go and have surgery, let's say, and let's specifically say, because we're talking about sports and competition. If you are a man, 6'2", whatever the case you may be, and for whatever reasons you decide that you're not really a man and you want to transition, you're born with male plumbing, you're born with all of the testosterone that men have, and then you decide to go to Guam or Taiwan or wherever you go, and you decide to transition and make yourself look like a woman, you certainly can do that. All right? But at the end of the day, you are still a man. No offense. I know you look like a woman, you may talk like a woman, you walk like a woman, but biologically, you are still a man. No offense. Now, you have the right to do that. You are still a human being as well, and you still deserve certain rights. But you don't have the right to compete against women. And I'm talking about Fallon Fox. Okay? Fallon Fox actually spent money to transition to become a woman. And that's fine. If that's what she wants to do, that's on her. Okay? Fallon Fox now competes in UFC fighting women. You get what I just said? Because Fallon Fox still has the bone structure of a man. She still, let me go back and look at something real fast. I need to see just how big she is. So Fallon Fox is 5'7", 143 pounds. A 5'7" 143-pound man is different from a 5'7", 143-pound woman. Now, mass, no. But testosterone, all of those things that she was born with as a man are there. Would you agree with that? So Joe Rogan really went off on her. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not a Joe Rogan fan, but I agree with him. In the case of Caster Semenya was born as a woman. She just has high testosterone. So she's theoretically a woman. No, not theoretically, biologically, she's a woman. She has a right to compete against women, in my opinion. But Fallon Fox was born as a man, okay, and transitioned to a woman through surgery. Fallon Fox does not have the right to compete against women, especially in the UFC. You get my point? That's all I'm saying here, okay? And Joe Rogan really took her to task on it. And a lot of people, and look, Joe Rogan is a crass individual. I'll be totally honest with you. But I got to agree with him on this. Let me read, and I'm going to skip some because it is profanity laced, okay? But here's what he says. Because I think this is important for us to understand, because we're getting into some interesting conversations here. There's a young man who is in high school that calls himself a girl. He was born as a man, but they allow him to compete against girls in wrestling. Again, and I use track and field as my backdrop and my proof. Let me read this by Joe Rogan first. She calls herself a woman, but I tend to disagree. And she used to be a man, but now she has had a transgender, which the official term that means you've gone through it, right? And she wants to be able to fight women in MMA. He says, no effing way. I say, if you had a male thing at one point in time, you also have to have the bone structure, okay, that comes with being born a man. You have bigger hands. You have bigger joints. You're a man. That's a man, okay? You can't have it. I don't care if you don't have male genitalia anymore. He said, look, Fox is huge. She was not just huge. She has a man's face. That makes no difference. He said, I mean, you can wear all the lipstick you want. You want to be a woman and you want to take female hormones. You want to get a boob job. That's all fine. I support your life to live. Your right to live as a woman. Fight guys, yes. She has to fight guys. All right? So the point that Rogan is making is that Fallon Fox was born as a man. She has all of the tools that men have. Like he said, the interesting thing is you're thicker, you're stronger, your bone structure is stronger because of you being a man. So now you're going to go fight women? That's just wrong. That's where competition committees around the country should draw the line. That's pretty simple, and I think that's fair. I mean, what other way? Let me give you an example. You all know I'm a huge track and field fan. Love it. And I always use track and field as my example as to the difference in physicality when it comes to men and women. Okay? I always use that as my example because that is really the one thing that we can show the difference between men and women when it comes to physicality. I'm not talking about intellect. I'm talking about physicality. Okay? Because when it comes to intellect, there is really, in my opinion, no difference between men and women. Okay? Intellect is based on usually where you grow up, what you learn, you know. But when it comes to physicality, that's your DNA. That's inbred in you as whatever gender you are. Okay? So I'm just going to do a quick Google. Fastest track. Let me just do this. Okay. Okay, I'll start with the 100 meters. I'll say fastest 100 meters for women and men. Okay? So if we are to argue that women and men are physically equal, let me just give you the current men's world record for the 100 meters. The current men's world record for the 100 meters is 9.58. That was set by Usain Bolt in 2009. The current women's record, world record for the 100 meters is 10.49. That was set by Florence Griffith Joyner in 1988. Are you hearing this? So Flojo, whom I loved, whom we all loved, set the 100-meter record for women, 10.49 in 1988. It has not even been broken. Y'all get that? Wow. That's 30 years. Usain Bolt ran a 9.58. That's almost a full second faster than a woman. You know why? Because of their physical structure. Okay? Let me do another one. Let's do another track and field event that is more physical. All of them are physical, but let's go to the shot put. Let's go to the shot put. Because I'm making my point here. Because you can only back up your points on facts. And look, I'm not a big fan of Joe Rogan, and I'm not a big fan of UFC or MMA. Okay? Okay, let me do it this way. World shot put record. Give me a moment here. I'm sorry. All right, so the world shot put record, according to Wikipedia, let's see, I want men and women. All right, so the world record for the male shot putter is 23.2 meters, which is about 75 feet. It's by Randy Barnes, okay? 75-10. The women's shot put record do they not do the shot put? I thought women did the shot put. I want to say, okay, so here are the top 4 shot putters. One of them is from Russia, and I can't even mention her, pronounce her name, but her record is 74 feet. So she's a full foot behind men. And we can go through all of them. My point in doing this, okay, my point in talking about this is that men are physically stronger than women. Now we certainly have analogy. I mean, we have unicorns. I saw a woman the other day in a video who was pulling a bus. I'm gonna tell you in a minute, she's stronger than me. She probably whooped my butt. We know there are different there are irregularities in anything. All right? But overall, physically speaking, men are stronger than women. That's no slap to women. And if you're one of those feminists out there that take offense to that, then you need to check yourself, okay? Because that's no slap to you. I'm making a point here. So when I say Caster Semenya, who was born a woman, and if you saw that thread, I was asking the question. I wasn't trying to be mean. If in fact Caster Semenya was born a woman, but for whatever reason she has male traits, she's still a woman, and she has the right to compete. But if you were born a man, and you have all of those male traits, the bone density, you had the plumbing, but you went and had it removed. I understand that. But at the end of the day, your physiology is still a man, and you don't have the right to compete against women. That's what I'm saying. So Fallon Fox, who was born a man, let's do another one. Let's do the 200 meters. Fastest. Because see, I've always said track and field is the one area that we can always look at, okay? That we can always look at to compare physiology and physicality of men and women. That's why I don't agree with women playing football. I know some little girl just got a football scholarship. If that was my daughter, she wouldn't be playing football because her body is not prepared. It just isn't. Take it from someone who knows, who is suffering from a lot of those pains. So let me give you the 200 meters. Okay? The fastest 200 meters is Usain Bolt. That's the world record. 19.19. He did that in 2009 at the World Championships. I saw that. I wasn't there. I saw that too. Again, our girl, we love her. She's sexy. She's hot. And she's fast as the wind, or she was. Florence Griffith Joyner, FloJo, as we loved and called her. 21.34. So the fastest woman, where that record still stands today, the fastest woman was almost 2 seconds behind the fastest man. Do y'all get that? Now, does that say that FloJo was not a great sprinter? Of course it doesn't. FloJo was the bomb. And if you had the honor and pleasure of seeing her, you know it too. But the fact of the matter is, due to her physical limitations as a woman, she does not run faster than a man. So because of the physical limitations, or I should say, the physiology of Fallon Fox, she does not have the right to compete against women. Or any other man, any other person who was born a man. Whether you're junior high, high school, or whatever. Because of your physiology. Now, I know sometimes in junior high you hadn't really developed, but as you get older, you will. But as it relates to Caster Semenya, yeah, in my opinion, she has the right to compete with the women. I'd like to hear what you think. 855-525-5683 is the number. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Because I think that's something, as we move forward, look, let me just tell some of you Neanderthals. Transgender is not going away. And we're going to have to figure out a way to incorporate them into our society. Okay? Because at the end of the day, they're human. They're God's creations, whether you like it or not. And you may not like it. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little uncomfortable. Here's the only problem I have with transgender, and I'm going to get off this, and we're going to talk NBA next hour. Okay? Here's the only problem I have with this. You transition from a man to a woman. I'm just being real, folks. Y'all know I am. I always am. You transition from a man to a woman. You go out to a club. All right? And you are dressed as a woman. And a man approaches you, a straight man, and he's approaching you because he thinks you are a woman. And you lead him on, and you never tell him that you're a man or that you were once a man. I got a problem with that. I got a serious problem with that. And you should too. Because if you choose to be transgender, that's you. That's fine. That man who approaches you thinking you are a woman is not approaching you as you being a woman. He's a man. He expects you to be a woman. And you're lying to him. And then when he finds out and he reacts, then you got some issues. I'm just saying. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's what's on the agenda today. Coming up next hour, we talk nothing but NBA. I'm going to go through a couple of NBA cities and tell you how I think and juxtapose certain players. I think you'll like it. We're going to go out and take a quick break. You're listening to the weekly sports magazine on JoyNetRadio.com. Man.
This is attorney Danielle Walker from the Walker Law Firm. Are you drowning in debt? Is your debt becoming unmanageable? Are you struggling to make ends meet? It might be time to consider bankruptcy options. Call me at 501-374-1448 and let me provide you with the professional legal guidance and help protect you from foreclosure, harassing bill collectors, repossessions, wage
Gotta get a cough
garnishments,
drop, man.
and more. I have a proven record of serving clients just like you for over 20 years. I'm conveniently located downtown Little Rock at 323 Center Street, Suite 1020. Call today for a free, no obligation consultation at 501-374-1448, 501-374-1448, 501-374-1448. This is attorney Danielle Walker from the Walker Law Firm, and let me help you.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Fill your home for the holidays with Bedrock Mattress and More. Bundle and save for every room in your home. Package deals just in time for the holidays. Our first bundle starting at $5.98. Perfect for a dorm room. Bundle deal 2, only $15.99. Enough to fill your first apartment. And fill your home with our third bundle starting at only $24.99. Come get these deals while they last. Special pricing going on now through the end of the year. Celebrate this holiday season with something new from Bedrock Mattress and More. 3901 South University in Little Rock.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
It's time for the weekly sports page with the dynamic David Coleman. Stay tuned for thrills, chills, and yes, spills. Oh yeah, and a whole lot of other great stuff. Call 855-525-5683. Tweet your questions at Dynamic Sports PA or Facebook. Drop a line on Dynamic Weekly Sports Show. Sit back, relax, and groove while Dynamic drops sports in your ear hole. Now here's Dynamic David Coleman.
All right, welcome back to the second hour of the show. I apologize for, I am struggling up here today. My voice, I told you last Sunday I came down with something, and by Sunday afternoon, it had literally just tore me down. And I've been battling ever since. So if I'm sounding a little disjointed, and things of that nature, that's why. Because I'm going back and forth trying to deal with this crook, whatever it is. But fortunately, it seems to be on its last leg, but it's trying to hold on. You're listening to the second hour of the weekly sports magazine. I am David Coleman. I'm here every Saturday morning, and I talk sports as we are doing today. So this hour, I want to talk a little NBA. In fact, I'm going to talk a lot of NBA. So if you're not an NBA fan, then you're not going to be happy with this. But you should be. And I think if you stick around, what I'm going to talk about NBA is going to be a little different from just the results of the games. So in the tease this morning, here's what I wrote. If I can get to it. It says, today on the Weekly Sports Magazine, Houston, Golden State, Milwaukee, Boston, Philadelphia, Los Angeles. And, of course, later on we're going to ask the question why Tiger Woods, why black people continue to support Tiger Woods. Well, let's deal with the NBA first because it's front and center for us. And, of course, last night the Golden State Warriors defeated the Houston Rockets. And, you know, I've been telling you all for the longest that a superstar shows up. And I want to pull up the box of this game. A superstar shows up and carries his team. And sometimes when you show up and carry your team, you'll lose. Okay? Especially if you are the only one on that team. You might play your tail off. But at the end of the day, if you don't have teammates who are playing, then you will suffer. So I'm going to pull up the box score last night of the Houston game. Because, let me see here. Because last night, James Harden had 35 points. Chris Paul, 27. Okay? They've got well-established superstars. They claimed last year that had Chris Paul not been hurt, they would not have lost against Golden State. I disagree. And I said last year, had they beaten Golden State, that LeBron team would have worn out. Would have worn out. Okay? The other thing is this. I used to have a coach. In fact, I had multiple coaches who would say this. And the first coach that would say that would be Bernie Cox. He was the first one who told me that. He was my high school football coach. And I remember talking about a good game that I had. I think it was in a JV game. And he said to me, yeah, Dave, that was a good game. This was before I was a senior. He said, but we still lost. And I didn't get that at first. But as I matured as an athlete, I began to realize and understand when you say statistics are for losers, hey, that's exactly what that is. James Harden last night has been torching the NBA statistically. He had 35 points last night. Let me give you another example. Russell Westbrook, Mr. Triple-Double in modern times himself. Where's Russell Westbrook? Statistics are for losers. If you are not getting those types of numbers inside the game itself, where you are enabling your other teammates. Think about this. James Harden has the ball more than anybody else, and he only had 5 assists last night. That means, but he had 35 points. Here's the other starting guard, Chris Paul, who I love me some CP3. Been loving him since his college days. But you only had 6 assists, dog. How are you getting your other teammates involved? You see what I'm saying? Statistics are for losers. I'm just saying, folks. You had Golden State just where you needed them. Kevin Durant, who's been wearing you out, he wasn't playing. Superstar Steph Curry didn't score a point in the first half. Okay? Not a point. And you all were tied with Golden State. At that point, I knew they were going to lose. So here's the other thing nobody is talking about. Here's the other thing that nobody is talking about. Who was the head basketball coach for Houston? If you knew me years ago when I was doing sports morning drive at AM 560 in Nashville, Tennessee, with my dog Greg Poe, And when Mike D'Antoni first came, or first got his first head coaching job, what did I say then that I'm going to say now? And although we have morphed all of a sudden into European basketball, which I hate, what we're seeing now is European basketball. The guy got a layup, instead he'll pass out to a three-point shot. Okay? Although three-pointer shot, if you hit it, is great. But the percentages of you hitting a three-point shot is less than it is hitting a layup or two. But Mike D'Antoni coaches European basketball, which means no defense. You're not going to win any sport if you don't play defense. If you don't stop the other player, you're not going to win. Pick a sport. Pick one. When Tiger won the Masters, that last hole, he had to play defense. He knew he had to hit. He just had to two-putt it. He didn't need to make any mistakes. He didn't need to be offensive and try to go for the pin. Y'all get that, right? Even in golf, you play defense. I lay up as opposed to being a hero. If you're not going to stop anybody, you're not going to win games. And Mike D'Antoni doesn't play defense. And Mike D'Antoni, just as Chris Paul, just as James Harden, they deserve some rain, some beat up, some blowback, or whatever you want to call it, for that loss last night. The Houston Rockets will never win another championship as long as Mike D'Antoni is coaching. Because Mike D'Antoni doesn't care about defense. Doesn't care. Steph Curry lit you up in the second half. 33 points. Didn't have a point at the half. Look, I know Steph Curry is a great shooter. Steph Curry is probably the best shooter we have ever seen in the NBA. Now, I would argue that Pistol Pete Marriages was a hell of a shooter. But what we see with Steph Curry is unbelievable. I don't care if everybody else is hitting dunks. You don't let Steph Curry stand around the three-point line and light you up, especially when Kevin Durant is gone. Y'all get that, right? So whatever Houston is getting, whatever hatred they getting this morning, they deserve every bit of it. Kevin Durant is hurt. He ain't playing. Because anyway, if Kevin Durant would have been playing last night, you weren't going to win anyway. I'm going to be honest. Houston is not a good basketball team. Statistically, they put up a lot of points. James Harden, come down. Dribble, 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 dribble. Shoot. Dribble, 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 dribble. I might pass, shoot. That's what Chris Paul was doing last night. So what tends to happen in cases like that is that your other teammates stand around and watch. Now, Chris Paul had 2 great assists late in the game to Capella that were dunks. You take those away, he only had 4 assists. Now, let me juxtapose the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors, on the other hand, yeah, Steph Curry put up a lot of points, but they run an offense where they get Steph and Klay Thompson open. Andre Iguodala last night was he had 5 3-pointers himself. But now I just talked about Houston and James Harden. They'll never win a championship with James Harden as long as he plays basketball like that. I don't care what y'all say. James Harden is not an MVP. Just because you can put up numbers doesn't make you an MVP. They'll never win a championship. Unless, of course, the Golden... Look, even if they go to the finals, they're not going to win because you know what? Those Eastern teams, Eastern Conference teams, they only come up, bro. And I'm going to tell you why I think there's one Eastern Conference team that you ought to be afraid of. Very, very afraid of. As a matter of fact, that team was one of my favorite teams growing up until something happened. All right, let's see if we can get a Facebook feed. A Twitter feed up here. We're going to try here. All right. So let's talk about Golden State here for a moment. Let's talk about it, if we can. Golden State by far is a fantastic team. No ifs, ands, or buts. One of the best shooting teams that we've seen in this time. I would certainly agree with that. But here's the interesting thing. The name associated with Golden State in this conversation this morning is Kevin Durant. Because, see, Kevin Durant is hurt. And last night, Draymond Green's point was proven beyond the shadow of a doubt. Now, what am I talking about? Last night, Draymond Green showed Kevin Durant that the Golden State Warriors don't need him. Y'all get that? Remember earlier in the season, midway through the season, the fight that the two had? And in the locker room, Draymond Green told Kevin Durant, hey, we don't need your blank anyway. We were winning before you got here. He's right. They were. Kevin Durant is nothing but an extra spare tire. He's not the little donut that you get. He's a real tire. So when you have a flat, oh, we got Kevin Durant. We just put him on. Or when you want to rotate, you just pull him out of the trunk and put him on. He's not a mismatched tire. Y'all get that, right? You understand that analogy? So last night, Kevin Durant, I think, sitting around watching this game, realized that he's going to leave. Most people have predicted it anyway. But I think last night, we saw that Kevin Durant is going to leave. Because I can see Draymond Green going to the locker room and seeing Kevin Durant and with that look of, I told you, we don't need you. And as tentative as Kevin Durant is, he's probably already thinking that anyway. And I promise you, before the week is out, some of these adept sports talk show hosts like myself will address this. Because I don't know if you saw it last night, but that was the first thing I thought about after Golden State won. See, Kevin Durant had a great argument. He had a great argument. Had they lost last night, then the headlines would have been, see, they really do need Kevin Durant. They struggle without Kevin Durant. And then game 7, you've got really, really interesting conversation. There's a lot of pressure. But because they won with Kevin Durant last night, the conversation is totally different. 855-525. I guess we won't be getting up on Twitter today. I apologize. My tablet is acting a damn fool. 855-525-5683 is the number. Okay? The next city I want to talk about is Milwaukee. I don't particularly care for Milwaukee. Milwaukee is a very racist city from what I understand as it relates to black people. But in the context of what we're talking about today, basketball, Milwaukee, to me, is the team to beat. And right now, I think Milwaukee is going to win this whole thing. I just really do. If everyone plays their role, if all of those guys play the role that they need to play, Milwaukee's going to be tough to beat, folks. I'm telling you. I know you may not agree with me, but they're going to be tough to beat. To me right now, they have the best big man in the game. Now, here's what I like about Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis does play outside, but Giannis plays inside. He's a great facilitator. He moves the ball. He knows how to take over games. And if you look at this Milwaukee squad, they weren't playing in the playoffs. Anybody that they ran up against, they were not playing. And, you know, there's a neat story that I posted on my wall about Giannis Antetokounmpo. And by the way, he has a brother, too. They say that it's just as good or better. But there's a neat story that I posted on the wall about him. Okay? And it's about how he grew up. Do yourself a favor and go out and look at that. Go out and look at it. Giannis Antetokounmpo grew up in Greece. He was born in Greece. His family are Nigerian. He's Greek Nigerian, or Nigerian Greek. I guess the proper way to say it is Greek Nigerian because of the how it's the alphabet. But his family is Nigerian. Giannis Antetokounmpo was terribly discriminated against. In fact, there are roaming gangs of white Greeks who regularly beat up and kill black people. Did you hear what I just said? So there was a coach that played for the University of Florida that was from Greece, who decided to become the coach of the Greek national team. And one thing that this coach realized by playing in America is that he needs some soul brothers. He needs some melanin. So this coach used to basically, go through various neighborhoods in Greece that had, black people. And he would look for certain players, certain black kids who had certain bone structure, certain density, who looked like they could potentially be a basketball player. He stumbled upon Giannis. Giannis was terrible. He couldn't play. He couldn't dribble. He couldn't hit a layup. It's a great story. Go read it. It is a great story. And it's a story because it's a lot of ways you can really get perseverance out of this. It says, if you want it bad enough, you can do it. But you know what? Giannis would stay in the gym more than anybody else. In fact, Giannis would sleep in the gym because when they would have practice sometimes, it would be after dark. And Giannis would, knowing that if he walked in Greece as a black man after dark, he could have been kidnapped or killed by those roving, racist Greek gangs. So he would spend the night in the gyms. And of course, and sleep on a rubber cot, a mat on the floor. And now we see that Giannis Antetokounmpo, they say it takes fire. It takes extreme heat to fashion a diamond. And the life that Giannis lived went through extreme heat. And now here's the funny thing about it. All the white Greeks loved them some Giannis. See, this is what racism is so bad. See, they hated Giannis. But now that Giannis is potentially the best player in the world, and in my opinion, the MVP of the NBA, all of a sudden now the white racist Greeks love them some Giannis. Everybody, when he goes home now, they want to take pictures with this Nigerian Greek. It's amazing. It speaks to we don't understand our power, not just locally, not just nationally, but internationally. Melanin is the bomb, and Giannis Antetokounmpo and his story tells every black person in America, in the world, who we are. Yeah, he's black. That's why you have to be careful when you say African American. Because there are some white African Americans. The fact of the matter is, Giannis is a black Greek, where his origin is from Africa, which is Nigeria. Go read that story. It is fantastic. It is on my sports wall, the weekly sports magazine. Go read it. Go read it. It was in the New York Times. In fact, it was on 60 Minutes. Yeah, it's titled, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the pride of Greece, of a Greece that shunned him, that kills and kidnaps black immigrants. And now all of a sudden Greece is realizing, oops, racism. It rears its head everywhere. 855-525-5683 is the number. Now who's next? Who's next? The Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics. Last year, the Boston Celtics scared the bejesus out of a lot of folks, including the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the Boston Celtics decided that they wanted to go out and get Kyrie Irving. And now Kyrie Irving was on that team last year, but Kyrie Irving was sitting on the bench, hurt. So it was those young guns. I mean, they were balling last year. Okay? It was those young guns like Jay Brown and Horford and Haywood and Morris, Rozier, Jason Tatum. It was those guys that almost did the impossible. So Danny Ainge decided that, hey, and if you notice, all of those names that I just called, they black. I'm going to be honest with you, and I would argue that Boston is the most racist city in America. It always has been. So when Larry Bird went to Boston, a whole lot of white folks were loving that because there was a white boy who was playing basketball who was just as good as some of the black boys. We all understood those racial overtones. And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't really see this until, and I'll be honest with you, when I heard Stephen A. Smith bring this up yesterday. And it hit me because historical context is important. When they went out and got Gordon Hayward, that was to bring in their great white hope. Now, Stephen A. Smith didn't say that, but this is how I'm looking at it. But this is similar to what he was talking about. That was their opportunity to bring in their great white hope. They needed a white boy to come on that team and do the do. Now let me put a pause right there and let me go to Kyrie Irving. I have been tough on Kyrie Irving up until yesterday when I heard Stephen A. Smith. And I'm going to be honest, I don't follow Stephen A. Smith a lot. I don't really care about what he says. But he made some very good points that made me have to rethink how I'm thinking about Kyrie Irving. I agree, and I think you would too, that Kyrie Irving was wrong in how he left Cleveland, how he tried to embarrass LeBron James. I don't forgive him for that. Because it was LeBron James who helped Cleveland win that championship. It was LeBron James who helped Cleveland go to 4 straight. It wasn't Kyrie Irving. Yeah, he was part of the mix, but let me give you an example. Prior to LeBron James coming back to Cleveland, and they had Kyrie Irving, where were the Cleveland Cavaliers? They were in the same position that they are right now, drafting in the top 5. So if Kyrie Irving, and I made this argument to a lot of Kyrie fans who didn't get it, I think they get it now. I hope they do. I'm not saying Kyrie is not a great individual player, just like I wasn't saying that James Harden isn't. But players have to be able to fit in to their team. That's why it's called a team. Kyrie Irving has handles. He's a great individual player. But he tried to embarrass LeBron James, and he also thought that he was a better leader than LeBron James. If you've never led, then you never know what leadership is all about. Even the people that you think they're with you sometime will turn against you. But you still gotta stay the course. But from what I understand here, and I was tough on Kyrie, and then of course halfway through the season, Kyrie made the mea culpa and apologized to LeBron James because as he was doing, once he got to Boston and now that he's playing, he's not injured, he began to realize just how tough leadership is. You just can't show up and shoot the ball and say, come on guys, I'm Kyrie, follow me, I got a ring. Those brothers watch too. They say, well, you only got that ring because of LeBron. You follow this? Excuse me. So I was tough on Kyrie. I was tough on Kyrie even up until a couple of days ago when they lost against Milwaukee. And I made a video about leadership, and I still stick to that video. But after hearing Stephen A. Smith talk about the underhanded crap, and I'm not surprised because if you know Danny Ainge, and if you follow Danny Ainge has always had racist and bigoted tendencies. He was a dirty player. He was not a great player for Boston. No one likes Danny Ainge. I'm being real with you. That shows you how far back I go. I'm 58 on Monday. So I've been watching the NBA a long time. No one liked Danny Ainge. Even some of his own black players didn't like Danny Ainge. I'm just saying. So from what was described by Stephen A. Smith, in that the Boston Celtics brought basically Gordon Hayward in to be the great white hope, they basically crapped on some of those other players, the black players, who had taken them to the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's why they took a step back. It wasn't really about Kyrie. And anyone who has been black, who has worked on a job, who has had to train the new white supervisor, and you have the experience, you have the knowledge, you have the same credentials, understands exactly what I'm talking about. Right? So the great white hope, Gordon Hayward, comes in. You stuff him into the lineup. He really wasn't ready to play. He was still recovering from the injury, although they were saying it was 100%. And you allowed some of those other games or other players' games to suffer. Terry Rozier is one of them. I posted an article the other day. Terry Rozier said, my game is one of the main ones that suffered. Don't be surprised if there's a mass exodus of this Boston team this year. I don't know what the contract situation is, but don't be surprised. I think Stephen A. Smith hit on something that the white media is not going to talk about. And I applaud Stephen A. Smith. I chastise him, but I got to applaud him when he says things that make sense. And I did not think about that until I said, man, you know what? Because we wondered throughout the regular season, what's wrong with Boston? They ended up being fourth. They were the fourth. What was wrong with Boston? They brought guys. Look, even if you bring Gordon Hayward in and you say, okay, Gordon's here, and you as a player in practice, you see a guy. You know if a guy is 100%. You know if a guy is 95%. You know if he's going through the drills 100%. You know if he can't go through the drills because of that injury. And then you stuff him into the lineup and you give him top numbers. Yeah, I'm going to be a little upset too, considering the fact that I carried your ass last year. This is a classic white boy coming in, being hired by white management, and putting him over the black player or the black employee who's been there for 15 years, knows the entire place inside and out. And you give him more money. Stephen A. Smith was right on point with this. And I concur 100%. 855-525-5683. We got to move forward here. Philadelphia. Joel Embiid. You know what? I'm a Philadelphia 76er fan. I go all the way back to Dr. J. I became a Philadelphia 76er fan because of Dr. J. Even in the Charles Barkley era, I was still a Philadelphia 76er fan. I am one of those people that when I become a fan of yours, I don't waver. I'm your fan for life, and I've been a fan. The Oakland Raiders is another. Look, I don't care how bad they are. I hate Gruden. I'm a fan. All this, the process with Joel Embiid, I was hurting. Why you drafting guys who can't shoot jump shots? Markelle Fultz, Ben Simmons. I'm a fan. But I'm going to say it like this. I love me some Joel Embiid. But Joel, let me just say this. If you can't produce night in and night out, like Antetokounmpo, yeah, you're a superstar, but you're not a great. And you have the potential to be great. And you don't show up sometimes. The process isn't working. And Brett Brown probably needs to be fired. I'm just saying. 855-525-5683 is the number. If you want to comment on this, I'd love to hear you. My last city is Los Angeles. But before I talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, because I want to talk about LeBron James. I've told y'all over and over again that LeBron James is my favorite player, not because of what he does on the court, but what he does off the court. Let me say that again. LeBron James is my favorite player because of what he does on the court, not what he does off the court. By the way, he just donated $1 million to build a gym for his new school. Hello? Now, I know a lot of you hate LeBron James. I know a lot of you have been goaded and teased by the media and led by the media to hate LeBron James. But this is the best guy, the best player, in my opinion, that the NBA has seen in some time, on and off the court. And when he went to Los Angeles, all of you all began to try to blame LeBron James for Los Angeles' failure, not understanding that the Lakers haven't been in the playoffs since 2012. Did y'all know that? Since 2012. So that wasn't LeBron James's fault, was it? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't LeBron James's fault that they ended up where they are today. Think about it from this perspective. Okay? Think about it from this perspective. Prior to LeBron James getting hurt, they were fourth in the Western Conference. What I think y'all see now, is a very tough Western Conference. Right? Now, if the Lakers were so great, what happened? Why didn't they continue to be fourth or fifth or even eighth for that matter? Why didn't they? Never thought about that, did you? So here's my point with the Lakers. They tried to hire Tyronn Lue. You look at Tyronn Lue and you look up his history and his background. Tyronn Lue is a solid coach. They didn't hire him. Why do you think that is? The guy who signed over to Phoenix over them, why wouldn't he go to the Lakers? And see, you all have been believing that it's LeBron James. No, it's not LeBron James. It's the front office. See, Magic left, and people ask, well, why did Magic leave like that? That was just terrible. Something happened when Magic realized that he was still just Magic Johnson. And you don't run nothing in here. Even though you're a great black player, you're just a black player. That's why what Magic did to the Los Angeles Lakers, it was designed to embarrass them. You get that, right? What Magic did to the Los Angeles Lakers, in my opinion, was designed to embarrass them. You follow that? Now, why would Magic do that? Why would Magic be so mean? Because I believe that something happened behind the scenes and they told Magic to kick rocks. We running this. Because you got Kurt Rambis and his wife. You got Jenny Buss and her brothers. You got Rob Pelinka, who is an agent who nobody in the league likes. No one really likes Rob Pelinka. Okay? No one likes Rob Pelinka. Magic told them to kick rocks because they told Magic in no uncertain terms, you ain't nothing but a black basketball player. Now let me talk to you about Kurt Rambis and his wife. Kurt Rambis was part of that debacle in New York. If you look at Phil Jackson's record, I think it's like 64 and 165 while they were at New York. Kurt Rambis was part of that mess. Now how the hell he gonna run the Lakers? And then you bring Tyronn Lue in, and you tell Tyronn Lue that we gonna hire your assistant coaches. You can't hire them. Think about that. Tyronn Lue has an NBA championship. Tyronn Lue has been to NBA finals. And not only that, you're going to say, well, we just going to give you a 3-year contract. When in most NBA circles, it's 5 years. See, while y'all blaming LeBron for the mess in Los Angeles, you ought to be blaming the brass. You ought to be blaming the buses. You ought to be blaming the Rambuses. You ought to be blaming Rod Pelinka. This ain't LeBron's mess. This is the white brass mess. But see, y'all so jaded and hating LeBron, y'all can't see the forest for the trees. Brothers, this is deep. If I were LeBron James, I would ask for a trade. If I were LeBron James, I would ask for a trade. And I heard some talk show national hosts say they ought to trade LeBron. I agree. Because even if they trade LeBron, that's still going to be a mess in Los Angeles. It was a mess before LeBron got there. Let me say this again. When was the last time the Los Angeles Lakers went to the playoffs? When did Kobe retire? I don't even remember. Did they go to the playoffs the last year of Kobe? If I remember my sports correctly, it's been since 2012 since they've been in the playoffs. Well, let's just Google this, girls and boys. Okay? The last time the Lakers were... Oh, look. Apparently other people have been Googling it too. It's right there. The last time the Los Angeles Lakers was in the playoffs. Well, let's see. Laker playoff history. Okay. I'll see. I don't want to go to your site, Lakers. I want... let's see. 2013. So it's been 6 years since the Los Angeles Lakers was in the playoffs. LeBron just got there last year. This mess is not LeBron's. This mess is the front office. End of story. 855. By the way, I told y'all that Luke Walton had no business coaching the Lakers in the first place. 855. If I'm LeBron, I ask for a trade. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. Now we're gonna go out. We'll hang. So the last subject I want to talk about today is Tiger Woods. And the question I asked on my tees was, and let me be specific. The question I asked on the tees was this. Why do black people continue to support Tiger Woods when he does everything to disavow his blackness? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a fan. I'm a quasi-fan. And I think as I move forward in this quote-unquote relationship, this is hard to explain. Tiger Woods doesn't even acknowledge himself as a black person. Tiger Woods desperately wanted to not be black, so he came up with a different name so he wouldn't be called black. That's a sickness. He came up with the name Kabla Asian or Kabla the Nation. I don't know, some crap. I don't even care to pronounce it correctly because it's a bunch of crap. Tiger Woods' father is black. His mother is is Vietnamese, I believe, if that's correct. For some reason or another, Tiger Woods grew up thinking that he wasn't a black person. Certainly, his father was able to do certain things for him. He got to go to Stanford. Not many black kids are at Stanford. He got to play a sport that few black kids ever play, and that's golf. So certainly he probably grew up thinking that he wasn't black. Even though when you look in the mirror, there's clearly he's a black man. And he realized that he was black when they arrested him. But Tiger doesn't even, in fact, from what I understand of his story, his mother, who was Vietnamese, told him not to marry black women. Now, that's a story that a lot of people don't know. Now, the irony in that is this, that if that is true, she, Vietnamese, married a black man. And you know what that really does? That speaks to the innate racism of other cultures about black people. But why would a Vietnamese woman who married a black man, who bore that black man's son, tell that black son not to marry a black woman? So we understand the family dynamics of why Tiger has grown up and disavowed his blackness. We see that now. We've seen it for some time. Now here's the dichotomy that we face here as black people. Golf has been historically one of the most racist sports in the world. Historically, it's been one of the most racist sports in the world. So to see a person of color, a black person, whether or not he doesn't identify as black, run through those white folks the way he did was a thrill. It certainly was for me. For him to destroy those masters courses when he was early on in his career was a thrill, particularly at Augusta. For him to do that, and here's what's so confusing about Tiger, is that Tiger quite often would acknowledge Ted Rhodes, Ernie Sifford. Those were some of the preeminent black golfers early on. But not to identify as a black golfer boggles my mind with Tiger Woods. Therein lies the dichotomy of him. That he certainly understands the racial significance of what he is doing because he acknowledged black golfers, the greats, Ernie Sifford and Ted Rhodes, and many others, Lee Elder. So you don't identify with black golfers, but you acknowledge the greatness and the path that was laid so you as a black golfer can play on those courses. I'm confused. And no, Tiger's confused. But we follow him. We black people follow him. We love him. We lift him up. We want him to continue. Even through his trials, even through his downward spiral. We would just shake our heads and hope that Tiger Woods would someday come back. And he did this year at the Masters. When white people had written him off, black people were saying, Tiger can do it. Yeah, there were many black people who wrote Tiger Woods off. But when there was an underlying group of people knowing that if he could get well, we believe in Tiger. And that was shown this past year at the Masters. Yet, Tiger Woods still doesn't acknowledge his blackness. What are black people to do? As a sports journalist who understands the underlying racism in all of sports, and to see a black person doing what Tiger Woods is doing to run rampant over their racist ideas that blacks can't, I support Tiger Woods. I have said over and over again that if Tiger Woods, if they would not have changed the courses to he's the only person in the history of sports that I've covered that I know, and if I'm wrong, you tell me. Tiger Woods is the only person in the history of sports where they decided that he's so good that we have to change the rules to keep him from winning all the time and give other people a chance. That's what Tiger proofing the courses are. And when you talk about the majors and Jack Nicklaus, when you talk about that, Tiger Woods would have blown past Jack Nicklaus's majors long before now had they not Tiger-proofed those courses. He is the only athlete in the history of the world in sports that I know of that they had to change the parameters of the game so that others could win. And he was still winning. That's greatness. That's from a black person. And even though that black person, Tiger Woods, does not identify as a black person, Tiger, you are still black. Just like you, Giannis Antetokounmpo, you are black. Your origins are Nigeria in a continent called Africa. Now, Giannis has not denied his heritage, but Tiger seems to continue to relish in his denial, even though black people continue to support him. So here's my thing. I want Tiger to break Jack's records. I don't know if he's going to get that any more majors. He may not. I don't know. But I want him to break them because of the melanin that flows through his blood. Because that sport, for centuries, denied black people access to that sport, and it still does today. So yeah, I want a black man to be the face of a racist sport who said that black people cannot play that sport. But I don't like Tiger Woods. I don't care for Tiger Woods as a human being. It has nothing to do with his drinking. It has nothing to do with his partying. It has nothing to do with him chasing tail. It has everything to do, in my opinion, with his denial of his blackness. Cablinanasia, or whatever you call yourself. Man, please. You have been jaded to think that you were white. That white woman only married you because you have money. These white people only love you because you have money. And soon as you fail, it was the white people who came with the sheets and the crosses. It was black people who were still supporting you. It's amazing when these black athletes get up in the world and the white world spits them out and shows them that at the end of the day, you're nothing but a, you know what? They run back to our community for safety. They run back to our community for adoration. And soon as the heat has died down, they run back to their communities. So Tiger, I don't really care for you as an individual, but I certainly want you to break those records. Hope you enjoyed the show. You can always go back, and I know that it's going in and out on Facebook, but you can always go back and listen to the entire show on YouTube. In fact, I posted that link earlier. I will repost it because that link has been solid most of the morning. It's called the Weekly Sports Magazine. I told you we do it a little different here. Every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. on JoyNetRadio.com. Coming up here in just a moment, it's Real Talk, Real Money with David Ashley. Don't forget, Monday through Friday, noon to 2 p.m. is Black Focus Radio. We really get into the weeds on that show. It's called Our Issues, Our Solutions, Our Voices. Right here on JoyNetRadio.com. Got to get out of here. Talk to you next week. Well, I'll talk to you Monday. No, I won't talk to you Monday. I'll talk to you Tuesday because I'm doing something on my birthday. On my birthday. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to the Weekly Sports Page with Dynamic David Coleman.
Boy, nice right. Ice cream. Alert. 654, Jose. Okay, 1-0.
Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 10.
Brown, Richard, 96 double. 96 double. Let a player.
Until next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, Saints abroad, get ready from Sumter, South Carolina. It's Minister Lee Burgess and
The law offices of
Resurrection.
James F. Swindoll, who provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer.
Y'all have a good day. Thanks for listening.
Attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered millions for our clients. If you or a loved one